like she was doing me a favor, but I knew she was stealing from me, right? And that's the thing about narcissists, like to keep their narcissistic supply, to keep themselves, satisfied, to try to keep filling that hole. They're going to play on anything, right? So she definitely tried to control me with finances, and that was since I was little. When I was little, it was things, right? And I never had a strong relationship to things or finances because, like my mother said, she was like, when I always had to beat you because I could take anything away from you. You just sit and stare at the wall. And I'm just like, I always laughed at that because I'm like, I'm not staring at the wall. I have an inner conversation. I had a rich inner world through books, through just my imagination, because I always try to escape, right? And things didn't belong to me, right? It was always hers. It was always a way of control. So my relationship to money and my relationships to things have always been that, right? And I never held on too tight to things or to money because of that, right? And that sense of it not belonging to me turned into a sense of me not deserving things, me not deserving, the good things in life, me not deserving luxury or anything like that. So at this time in my early 20s, there was another series of events like that turned into another awakening, right? So at the time I was teaching, I was a teacher, and that job was from hell because again, I took everything that I attracted to me, everything that was in my life was horrible. Actually, it was like so the teaching situation I had was a bad teaching situation where there was narcissists that ran the school, you know what I'm saying? And I was teaching kids that I didn't speak the same language as, in the worst school in the county, you know what I'm saying? So like, it was my first year. I have no teaching experience. I didn't learn about teaching in college or anything like that. So I'm sitting here going through hell, like, trying to get through my first and second year. And it was just a burden, you know what I'm saying? So the burden of that, and then the burden of being in a relationship that did not suit me, and then the burden of having my mother down my throat about everything. Like I didn't live in her house or anything like that, but she still controlled my life, all of that got me super depressed, so it was to the point where I wanted to quit. I kept wanting to quit my job. My mother said, you can't quit. She liked to see me in those situations where I was struggling. So that's how she tried to keep me. And that was all through my whole life. She tried to keep me in situations where I was struggling. And I would just listen because I didn't know I had any other choice, So even then I didn't know I had any other choice. But finally, my second year, I finally quit and stopped that job, and broke up and moved back into the house, right? My parents were divorced at the time. And, they had their own lives. It was just like, me moving back into the house was, I thought it was the best situation because I was depressed. I wasn't happy where I was living. I wasn't happy in my relationship. So I was like, okay, let me move back into the house. I didn't feel, I didn't understand that, my situation in the house was making me unhappy. Like I had no understanding of that. So, but I was trying to, in order to get through school, in order to get through my time teaching, I started going to yoga, and then I started teaching yoga, right? I became a yoga teacher, and it was helping me. It was helping me get myself centered. It was helping me, be okay within myself. But when I moved back home, the depression started back up again, right? I started a new job. I started like a few new jobs. I started like 3 new jobs. So I went from teaching middle school to teaching high school. Quit that easily and quickly. Started working in a bakery and teaching yoga. And then after that, I started working like for reading not Peace Corps. It was some type of corps, but I forgot. It was working with kids. It was teaching them young kids how to read, right? But at that time, I was so depressed. Like I didn't understand why. Like I was super depressed. I was depressed to the point where I couldn't function. Like I was doing well in my job, but I couldn't get through the day without breaking down, And one great friend, right? It was one person. She told me to go see a therapist, right? I mean, I was going to therapy, and I stopped going to therapy, but I didn't know what to do with myself. Like the therapy wasn't helping because it wasn't consistent. I was with it just wasn't consistent. So she found a therapist for me. Like I love her so much. Like I love her so much, but she found a therapist for me, and I ended up going to see this therapist, right? And that was decent. Going to see that therapist was a part of my breakthrough because she asked me one question. The question was, what do you think you deserve, right? And she wasn't saying it in a big way. It was just a question that she said that sparked my understanding. It triggered something in me, her saying that, what do you think you deserve, right? And something about her, like sometimes you have encounters with people that from past lives, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if anybody else ever feels this way, but it's like you already know that person, you know what I'm saying? And she was one of those people that was like, okay, I already know this person. So this encounter with this therapist like meant a lot to me. It meant a lot because it sparked my change, you know what I'm saying? And from that point on, saying, what do you believe you deserve? Like I transformed. I tried to transform myself. That was close to the beginning of my awakening. I've been on a journey, but awakening to myself was something totally different. When I consider my life, I never really thought about myself as the individual, right? I've always thought about me as a part of something else, a part of my family, part or what I was supposed to do. Like I never thought about what I actually wanted, you know. And that's when things shifted to what I actually wanted in life, you know. And that's when I was suicidal at the time. I wanted to off myself, but I felt that it wasn't fair because I hadn't gotten the chance to live my life yet. You know what I'm saying? I hadn't gotten the chance to be myself yet, you know? So I wanted to love myself, you know, instead of offing myself, you know what I'm saying? And at the time I hated myself, but I just thought it was not fair. Like, it's not fair to be in this position of self-hatred and you know, as I was telling my story to the therapist, like, she was the first one who actually told me, like, you know, this is abuse, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to get out of the situation that you're living in. And I didn't tell her, you know, I didn't tell her everything. But she that was the first time I heard that term related to me. You know, I never considered abuse at all. And it was because of the situation I was living in, right? I lived in a single family home. I lived in a nice neighborhood. Like, it wasn't like what I considered abuse to be. What my idea of abuse was somebody, you know, I had this idea of what less fortunate meant, or like, you know, I had this idea of abuse and things like that being connected to people who don't have, you know, much, you know, that was my idea, you know, like that. And that's the ego, right? You connect what people have to who they are, and, you know, and what it's like, I was always told to be grateful for what I had because of the neighborhood that I lived in, because we weren't poor, basically, you know what I'm saying? So even if, you know, I had a narcissist trying to push a poor life on me, like, it wasn't nothing to look at as abuse because of the situation I was in. That's how I was taught, you know? And when I say poor life, I don't mean to equate not having money with being poor. I'm just saying a poor state of being. So then I started looking into abuse, and then I came across what narcissism was. And it was my situation to the T. I think it was Dr. Rami that I started looking at. And that was like in 2019, 2020, you know? And then it started to click, like, oh, this is the situation I've been in the whole time, right? And so from that point, I was able to start waking up to myself, right? I was still in my spirituality, still talking to my spirit guides and everything like that. Then I started to get into divination, like tarot, like, and noticing signs and being awakened to, like, different downloads I was receiving about life, you know? Everything started to come together at one time as everything around me started to get worse. It started to get worse and worse, you know? The judgment, the harsh treatment, the everything around me, around the people that I was living around, which was my family, it just started to get worse. But I was getting better, you know what I'm saying? But I was learning, right? So I was trying to get out of my situation. I was applying to different things, and I applied to school, and I applied to grad school in California. And it was for, you know, master's in psychology with a concentration in spiritual development. And it was the only program that I saw that was like that I just really wanted, you know? And so I applied there, kind of forgot about it, and then ended up getting into the school, right? They called me randomly like a few months later or a few weeks later or something like that, and called for an interview. So I did an interview, and I ended up getting in. And nobody knew about it. Then I told my family. They had no response. They were just quiet. It was weird. And then so at the time, I was like kind of to myself during that time. A lot of people around me. There was a lot of family around me, but I kept to myself. Like, no, I didn't keep to myself. I was doing my own thing. I was trying to heal myself. So I was doing my own thing, doing my own yoga. I was listening to uplifting music. I was meditating constantly all the time. You know, breathing exercises. I was taking walks in nature. I was doing the video journals, kind of like this, but like more so in nature. And anything I was reading and listening to things on spirituality, right? On mediumship and things like that. Like, I mean, that's part of spirituality, but I got into a lot of metaphysical books and teachings and things like that. So that was my focus pretty much. And I was totally into it. I was journaling and using these things to try to help me pull myself out of this depression. And, you know, everything came to a head one day when I got into a fight with some family members, including it was a family member and my mother, right? And my mother took that opportunity to try to, it wasn't even a fight with her, but she tried to, like, hurt me, you know what I'm saying? Like, hit me with anything she could possibly find. Like, I didn't understand it. But all of that came to a head, and that was like the beginning of 2020. And that's when I went for a walk, and I kind of was pulled out of my situation. During that walk, I was awakened by my spirit guides, right? By the divine, by the Holy Spirit, right? And pulled me out of the situation to tell me that this is not this is the situation, but it's not me. You know what I'm saying? That kind of gave me, not kind of, it gave me strength, right? And through tarot and through signs and through signals and things like that, I figured out that I was going to be moving, that it was all going to work out, that everything was going to come together and it's going to work out for me. And at the time I had no job, I had no money, you know what I'm saying? I was doing hair, you know, I always did hair for money, but that was like pocket change to go around, right? I didn't take it as a serious business. And so that's what I was going off of, right? And I kept doing that. I kept working. I kept trying to pull myself out. And finally it happened, right? Money came through. I was able to get a ticket and move across the country, you know what I'm saying? And haven't looked back since. And since that point, you know, I left my family, but I realized, like, Spirit is always supporting me, right? I'm always left in the arms of Spirit, you know what I'm saying? So I live by faith, by blind faith, because it has done nothing but carry me through, you know what I'm saying? By myself, you know what I'm saying? And as I was leaving, I realized my family members were mad, you know, even ones that I pretty much got along with. Like, they didn't want to see me happy. They didn't want me to heal. They didn't want to see the growth in me. And I don't blame them, you know, but I blame the ego, because sometimes people don't answer the calling in their own life, right? So when they see you answering the calling in your life, it becomes a problem for them, you know? And it's not my problem, but at the same time, you know, it's good to have compassion and know that nobody is bad. You know, nobody's inherently bad. Nobody's inherently wrong. Even the narcissist, right? The narcissist is a narcissist because she refuses to look at her situation, you know? There's no inherent evil in anybody, you know? But when you refuse to look at your situation, you stay in a place of the ego, right? And what can hash out is like different types of malice, different types of loveless behavior, right? Which is evil, you know? So in order to win, any way possible to win, you're going to harm somebody. You're going to try to control them, try to control their finances, try to control everything about their life, you know, and just to win, just to get that narcissistic supply, right? Just to feel powerful over somebody. And that's what that relationship is, you know, and it still is, you know, the stalking and trying to gain control of my finances, right? That's what she's constantly, consistently doing even now, you know, as I already said, because we haven't had a horrible relationship. I always loved her, so I always tried to be there and be you know, loving towards her, but I had to end that relationship because I realized it brings nothing but turmoil in my life. But ending that brought, you know, opened a whole nother can of shit, you know what I'm saying? You can't accept no as an answer. And I see that, you know, when you try to say no to a narcissist, they're going to try to ruin your life, you know, and bring others into it, you know. So it's the family, like, trying to ruin your life, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, like, you got spirit and you know that you're fully protected. You know, you are in the world but not of it. And that's what I know now, you know. I'm in this world but not of it. And my journey continued as I moved to California, you know, and got into another narcissistic relationship, right? Because I hadn't healed the relationship with my mother, so I got into another narcissistic relationship. That person tried to gain control of me as well, in the same way, you know. So it was like, and only now in this part of my life am I realizing everything that's going on, and I had pulled myself out of it. I'm okay severing the relationships with my family, even though I love them dearly. I'm okay severing those relationships because I have to love myself first. Nobody's gonna love me, and they are not gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna try to harm me, and I need to love myself. So, but you know, I open myself to the new. I open myself to the love that I know was in my life. You know what I'm saying? I open myself up to the genuine love, to the love that I know is meant for me, and I know what I deserve. You know, so I will not compromise on that. You know, somebody show me some type of fake love or something that I don't deserve. I'm not going to accept that into my life because of the love I have for myself, and my life is transforming because of it. You know, no matter what anybody tries to do. You know what I'm saying? I get stronger and stronger, like. And that's the self-love. That's the power of the will. That's what the divine wants us to wake up to. You know what I'm saying? That's the spiritual journey, you know, waking up to that divine power that is beyond the physical.